Do you think, and I'd love to have your insights on this, for a fintech to succeed, it has to be led by a mission?
I think it does. I think that mission can be, and that purpose can be very ethical, and deeply focused on specific issues, or it can be broader. At Monument, as I said, we are very focused on helping the broad prosperity, financial, health, well-being, family of the mass affluent. That is our mission, and I think that definitely helps drive us. But I also think it's flexibility, and I think probably one of the hardest things, if you had asked me personally, what's one of the hardest things as a CEO and the leadership team is knowing when to stick to your guns and stay true to that vision and drive, and when, especially in this incredibly challenging environment that we're in, when do you pivot? And I'm very lucky that we have a superb leadership team, and we continue to stay true to our purpose, but at the same time pivot, constantly challenge yourselves to say, are we doing that? Are we going to achieve that in the right way, or is there a different way of doing it?
Absolutely brilliant. Now, do you think it's fair to say that banks that aren't transforming digitally at speeds, you're effectively digitally native, but at those same speeds, are they going to fail?
I think that ship has kind of already sailed, right? I mean, I think but there again, almost everybody now is. There's very few that will say, and there'll be a few that are on web but not app, or vice versa. And certainly in Monument, we're very happy being app only at the moment. That's a strategy we may evolve, but I think everybody has had to. That's just become that's just become the baseline today. I think what's interesting is where next, and I think we'll see even some of the banks that we think of today as being highly digital. The question is, have they done that in a way that truly allows them to continue to innovate and pivot? Or actually are some of the sort of first generation neobanks actually already legacy? Wow. And there's a lot of views that say that's probably the case. It's not going to really damage them for another few years, but it will at some point. You're suddenly going to start discovering some of the household name neobanks going, we're going to have to re-platform. And so what we've tried very hard in Monument to do is to use a Lego brick analogy, that at any given point, if we want to change some element of our tech stack, we can take one out, and because if someone else comes along who's best in class and better than the current provider, we'll just plug them in. And that's a really healthy way of thinking about your technology, but it's only one that you've been able to do realistically in the last couple of years. If you were building 5 years ago, you didn't really have that luxury. And so I think there are different stages of digital, really, that diff banks are at, and we will continue to see that giving some challenges and some opportunities as we go through. I think the second point around where banks will succeed and fail is less about digitization and remains, however, about culture and regulation. And I think one of the other big themes you'll see in the market is at some point as a neobank, you have to focus quite a bit on being a bank and all the regulation and the conduct and consumer duty and everything else that entails. And that's not easy for everybody. It's really not, and so you've seen some kind of growing pains, meeting the required KYC standards as a basic example, as a common theme we've seen for some of the neobanks. So in Monument, again, one of our ethos is similar to our technology ethos, is a cultural ethos that says we build for the future. We are designed to be a much larger bank than we currently are. We have those policies, we have those procedures, we have those standards. And we have a leadership team, which, and in fact the entire team, is a real mix of people with great banking experience, but also people who are real innovators with no banking experience, who are constantly saying, why do we have to do it like that? And that's exactly the voice that you want in your ear. So I think those are the two big themes. It's not just going to be about digital, it's also going to be about, as you scale as a digital bank, how are you taking your customers on that journey? How are you going to look after them when they get into distress, which again is something that a lot of the neobanks have not been through a recession. They've not had to deal with customers in distress. Well, that's going to be a new experience.